What is up, my fiery amigos? Welcome back to the channel for another IW Zombies guide in 2025. Before we start this Easter egg guide, I want to give a fair disclaimer. I am well aware that Joltz has made an Attack of the Radioactive Thing Easter egg guide not too long ago. But for those who don't know, I made one over a year ago before he did. But, as I stated in his post, it's okay if another creator makes a guide more toes into the pool. It's like anybody creating a Shattered Veil guide nowadays. Who gives a shit? Okay? I just want to get that disclaimer now. The reason I'm making this guide is because in my first guide, I did the first half of the Easter egg correct by explaining how to get to the bomb thoroughly. Missed a couple things here and there, but that's okay. But I feel like when I explained the chemistry step, I didn't explain it as thoroughly as I wanted to. And that's what this guide is about. Chemistry 101 on Attack of the Radioactive Thing. Now, for this chemistry step, it can be very complicated to understand, but I'm going to try to explain it as much as I can for you guys. Let's start off at the start. To start this chemistry step, you first need to open up the garage. If you don't know how to do that, you can view my guide in the link in the description. When you open up the garage, the first thing you're going to notice is the chemistry table that you have to place the parts on, which you will have to do. And then to the left of that chemistry table, there's going to be an equation on the wall. It says blank plus blank minus this circle number equals blank. We'll get to the first two numbers in a moment. Our main objective is to focus on the third number. For this third number, there are four numbers this number can be. The first one is just outside the garage on this blue door here. The second one is going to be in the market. It's going to be right here above the fridge, close to the entrance. The third one is going to be all the way over here under the bridge that goes from the garage to the motel. And for the last one, you have to go into Pack-a-Punch and hit this button on the wall here. Once that happens, go back through the portal, and then the last number is going to be on the fridge here. Now with this number, one might ask, how can you figure out of the four numbers which one is your number? That goes to the color change machine. If we change the color to any of the filters, one of these numbers is going to have a slash in the equal sign. This means the number given is not equal to the circle number. Once you find that slash in that color filter, you will not need to worry about that number any longer. It's a game of cross-elimination. In the example that I'm showcasing right now, the red color filter had a slash in the market symbol for 4. The green color filter had a slash underneath the bridge for 9. And then lastly, the blue color filter had a slash through the equal sign for the symbol in the trailer. So that just left me for the symbol on the door, which was 11, to be the number I needed to have. Now that we have our number, this is a two-way street. We have a number for one equation, which we'll get to later. That's for building the chemicals. Then we have another equation that's going to be in Elvira's studio. If you look into the sound booth, you're going to see this equation. It says eyeball equals the number we just found plus this pyramid number. This number is always going to be in the motel. It is right above this couch here. You're going to see it on the wall. In this game, my number was 5. So what I needed to do was take the number I just found, which was 11, and multiply it by 5 to get me 55. Now, you may be wondering, where does this go? This number will go to the television itself next to Elvira. Elvira's television has a set of 3 equations. In lamest terms, it goes like this. X is less than Y. X can be between Y and Z, and X is greater than Z. So we just need to plug in the number that we have found into the equation. So my television gave me less than 52, between 52 and 54, and greater than 54. 55 is greater than 54, so I had the color of blue. This will come in handy for the building of the chemicals, because that's what we need. But I'm going to showcase a very easy trick for you guys, so you don't have to walk around the map 100% of the time. The first thing we need to go back to is Elvira's studio equation. There are 2 things we can take note from this. Number 1 is the television itself. The television itself is set in sets of 5 numbers. So in the case of my television, less than 52, between 52 and 54, and greater than 54 reads out as 51, 52, 53, 54, and 55. That's how that television would work. The second thing is, since we have those numbers, take out all of the equations and we're left with 3 variables to cross-check. 51, 53, and 55. The last thing to do would be to plug it into the equation now. We have 51, 53, or 55 equals our circle number times 5. In order to get the circle number by itself, we simply need to divide by 5. So 5 divided evenly into a number with no decimals should give us a number that's on the television, which is 55. That is a wraparound solution you can use for every game. Now be wary, if your motel number is 1 or 2, I would advise doing the original strategy I had just shown you, so you don't have to cross-check anything, see what number is yours. Now that we got the whole number scenario out of the way of how to read the TV, let's go ahead and focus on building the chemical. To identify what chemical you have, there are a total of 8 radios around the map. I'm going to speed through them real quick. The first one is in spawn. The second one's going to be in the powerhouse next to the stall outside. The third one is in the market on top of this desk that you had for the blue code. The fourth one is behind the garage on this trash pile. The fifth one is going to be at the beach on this picnic table here. The sixth one's in the RV trailer park. It's in the trailer connected to Mule Munchies. The seventh one is in the motel. And the 8th one is in Elvira's studio. A lot of these radios are recordings from Dr. Bright. Dr. Bright needs chemicals for the chemical bomb, but he's short-handed, so he needs to use household items. In these recordings, he will list household items for what they are and what chemical he needs specifically are in these specific items. Let's take a listen to one recording.
Glass etching solutions, pool pH decreasers, drain openers, and abrasive sink cleaners all contain sulfuric acid. Under proper modulation, Ben was able to create hexamine from a mixture of formaldehyde and common ammonia. Its name makes the reaction fairly obvious, but phenosulfonic acid can be synthesized by combining the aromatic organic compound phenol with a concentrated amount of sulfuric acid.
That's what most of the radios are going to sound like. For the 2 we need specifically, we need the one in the powerhouse and the one in the motel. These are important to the Easter egg. They're the only 2 radios that require a battery. Now, for the batteries, they could spawn in as early as the very end of round 7, up to the start or any time during round 11. When you have your battery, you have a 50-50 chance of getting the radio you actually need. If you get a radio that sounds like this.
The synthesis of 3,2,4-dinitrobenzene includes creating a mixture of nitric and sulfuric acid while producing helium.
That is not the radio you want. That radio is specifically telling you what chemicals to combine for the chemical you need to build. The other radio, on the other hand, is what we need the most. Now, for the sake of quality, to show you how this radio works, I'm going to listen to all 5 recordings.
3-methyl-2,4-dinitrobenzene may be a rather crude solution for what faces us. I don't think the creation of 2,4-propane-3,5 tetranitrates will effectively do the job required. I have the solution to defeat the radioactive thing. Octahydro-2,5-nitro-3,4,7-parazosine. I do believe that if it were 1945 all over again, that 3,4-dinitroxymethylpropane would be the leading candidate to end this crisis of epic proportions. 1,35-teranitrophenol has been found to work, but its reaction time may not be adequate.
Now, these radios are meant to throw you off entirely. Do not get fooled by this. Let's take, for example, the one where it's talking about the year 1945. That is not a radio recorder you want because this film is set in 1951. He's talking past tense in this radio, not present tense, so you want to ignore that one specifically. The chemical we need is when he says, I think I have the solution, or I have the solution for the problem, and he'll give you the chemical. In my game, it gave me octahydro 2,5-nitro 3,4,7-parazokine. Now, let's go back to the chemical equation in the garage and why it's important for this section. If we change the color filter machine and look into this equation on the garage, it'll give us what we need. The symbols I disregarded earlier, I'm going to say what they are now. These are the Greek math symbols for the sum of. So when you change the color change machine, it gives you this. The sum of all the left diamonds in a chemical diamond, plus the sum of all the top diamonds in a chemical diamond, minus the circle number we found, which is 11, equals a chemical number to punch into the computer. That is how this table reads. Before we start any kind of chemical building, of course, we need to know where every single chemical is to build with. I'm going to go from spawn, rotate all the way around the map until we get back to spawn. So, for spawn, there are 2 chemicals in here. The first one's insect repellent. This is here. The second one is bleach. Go into the port with the hornet. It's going to be here. Let's move on to the market. Animal fat is here. You need the cleaver specifically for this one. Here's table salt. Here's food coloring. Here's detergent. Here is vinegar. Here is vodka. Here is baking soda. Here is wheel cleaner. Here is glass cleaner. Here is powdered milk. Here is ice. You have to punch the ice box for this one with the cleaver or the crowbar, does not matter. Here's pennies. You will need the crowbar. It can be from this register or the other register here. Going outside of the market, here's racing fuel. Here's motor oil. You have to open up the garage door for motor oil here. Here is quarters. With the crowbar specifically, melee one of these for payphones. Let's go across the map a little bit. In this bathroom stall, you're going to see drain opener. Here is pool cleaner by the pool. Here is nail polish remover. By a Virus Studio, you have the shed. This is paint. And then lastly, the final chemical to find would be plant food. It's all the way on the left side of the bus stop. Here. As for the numbers to punch in, the chemicals I had just listed off all have their own separate numerical values. And they're on these 6 boards. The first one is outside the market. The second one is in the spawn. The third one is going to be outside of our Elvira's studio. The fourth one is going to be in the RV trailer park. The fifth one is going to be at the beach. And then the last one is going to be inside the garage. So we'll stay in our color filter, which is blue, and that will give us all the right numbers. The reason I say this is if you change the color filter, the numbers will change with it. That's the reason we need this specific color of blue. The blue number will tell us the correct numbers to punch in. Now that we have identified every single ingredient that we will be using, we're going to start with octahydro 2,5-nitro 3,4,7-perazilkyne, since that's the chemical I got from the radio. To start this, we need to make formaldehyde. And for formaldehyde, it is a mix of racing fuel and quarters. So we need to melee the payphone with a crowbar, and then place it on the table, and then grab racing fuel from out here, and place it on the table. Now for the step, like I said before, it is the sum of the left diamond plus the sum of the top diamond minus 11. So in this game, the board that had quarters had 8 plus 5. And then the board that had racing fuel had 7 plus 1. 7 plus 1 is 8, and then 8 plus 5 is 13. So we add 13 plus 8. That would give us 21. Then we subtract our number of 11, and that would give us 10. So on this computer, we need to type in 10. That will be 10. And then when we have that in, you hit enter, your screen should shake, and then you have formaldehyde on the table. If you type it in wrong or put the wrong chemical on the table, you will go red screen, and you are absolutely one hit till death, till down. So you got to be careful about that. Now that we have formaldehyde, we need to take the formaldehyde we just made and put it back on the table. We're going to need it for the next chemical. For this, we need the formaldehyde plus glass cleaner. According to the board here, glass cleaner is 9 plus 9. That'll give us 18. And then formaldehyde on this board says it's 7 plus 5. So we take 7 plus 5, which is 12, add it to 9 plus 9, which is 18, giving us 30. Subtract 11, and we're going to get 19. So what we need to do is put 19 in our computer, hit start reaction, and then that will go from there. Now, for the last one, we are going to need plant food all the way over at spawn, put it on the table. Then we're going to need detergent, vinegar, and lastly, this hexamine that we had just created. So for hexamine, look at this board here. It says that 3 plus 2 for hexamine. For detergent, we have 9 plus 4. For vinegar, we have 4 plus 2. And for plant food, we have 9 plus 8. So for this chemical equation, we have 6 for vinegar, 17 for plant food, 13 for detergent, and then lastly, hexamine was 5. 17 plus 13 is 30. 5 plus 6 is 11. Add them together to get 41, but then subtract 11 again to fill in the blank, and we have 30. So we need to type in 30 into the computer. Once we hit start reaction, our chemical should be on the table. If it is the right chemical, we pick it up, put it into the bomb to start boss fight. That being said, let me tell you something. This chemistry step is a lot more interesting than you think. For starters, you don't have to stay in your color filter. That is a no-no. You can come out of your color filter at any time so you don't hurt your eyes too much. Number 2, this chemical step has a lot of number filters. 6 total, to be exact. I'm going to showcase my cheat sheet that is shown in my Easter egg guide on Attack of the Radioactive Thing. This is what I use every single time I'm doing this step. Let's go ahead and go with our example of what I had. To identify what numbers I needed to use, the first thing I did was look at acetaldehyde on Elvira's board as soon as I changed the color channel. Acetaldehyde gave me 6, 6. So then I need to go to my chart here, which has every single board and every single filter laid out. In my game, I got column 2, which had acetaldehyde as 6, 6. Notice I didn't put it as their entire numerical value of like 12, 8, 7, something like that. You know what I mean? Simply because of 6, 6 here, and then 9, 3 here. They're both equal to 12, so that would be really hard to read if that were the case. So I left it in the form of left diamond plus top diamond to make it easier for you guys. Now that we have that, next thing I went over to was the bottom half of the chart. On this bottom half of the chart, it is every single section of the math, where I did the left diamond plus top diamond for all the chemicals, and then subtracted the I number. Now, I haven't updated it quite yet. Thanks to Metabot, I know there's a change I need to make, and that being the number of 6. I need to add the value of 6 because it is rare, according to him, but I will update that later. What's going to happen is, if you find a column that you have, being one of the 6 filters, you go to one of the 6 boxes below. First box being filter 1, second box being filter 2, so on and so forth. Then you go to the top row, it has all those numbers to subtract. The 6 numbers that are common, 7 being 6 when I update it, are 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 11, and 15. All those 7 numbers, with 6 being the rare one, are going to be the constants. Because of that reasoning and logic, it saves you so much time. This is where that reversal of the equation being division comes in clutch so hard. Because if you reverse the equation and know those 6 to 7 constants, it'll make it easy. So, like for instance, I walked up to the TV and I instantly knew that with my motel numbering 5, it was blue, just right off the bat, because I knew 11 was divisible by 5, and that was the only number that fit. So going back to what I was explaining earlier about the board. For my example, I had octahydro, 2,5-nitro, 3,4,7-paraxylkyne, which I outlined in blue. I just needed to go to column 2, aka filter 2, and then scroll over to subtract 11. And look at this, 10, 19, 30. The 3 numbers I shown you earlier just by doing the math for you out on paper. I did this for every single chart, from filter 1 to filter 6. It makes it a hell of a lot easier for you guys. But if you're ever lost from me explaining all that to you, I left instructions on the top right of this cheat sheet, and I'll leave this cheat sheet in the description of the video. Now, it wouldn't be a complete chemistry set without explaining the other 4 chemicals, the 3 that are required for the main quest, and the bonus one, just for you guys. So, let's get on to it. So the first one that we're going to be tackling out of the 4 is going to be 1,3,5-teranitrophenol. And this game was different from the game I showed for the octahydro. I had filter 6 minus 8 as my numbers. So what I'm typing in now is going to be different from what I'd showcase in the other game. Side note. Anyway, for the first chemical of 1,3,5-teranitrophenol, you need insect repellent, wheel cleaner, and motor oil. Put all 3 of those on the table, and when you plug in the number shown on this cheat sheet here, it's going to be 20. It should mix to make phenol. For the next one, you need phenyl sulfonic acid. It's going to be the phenol you just made plus drain opener all the way over in the RV park. Put those on the table, type in the number given. In this case, it's 18. So when that happens, you're going to get that. And then lastly, it's going to be the final chemical, 1,3,5-teranitrophenol. You need to take the phenyl sulfonic acid plus nitric acid. In this case, it's detergent. And when you put those on the table, type in the number 11 according to the cheat sheet, and you are going to get the chemical you need. The third one is going to be 3,4-dinitroxymethylpropene. For this one, you're going to need formaldehyde once again. For the second chemical to make for this one, you need to make acetaldehyde. Acetaldehyde contains vodka and pennies. And for this filter, my cheat sheet told me I need to type in the number of 15. When I did that, I got acetaldehyde. Then I put the acetaldehyde on the table again, and the formaldehyde I had mixed prior on the table again, plus detergent. You need detergent. It is the key for this one. And when you have all 3 on the table, my cheat sheet told me to type in 20, given the scenario. And when I did, it gave me aldehyde sludge. Now for aldehyde sludge, you need, for the last one to make the big bad chemical, you need the aldehyde sludge you just made, plus nail polish remover. Once you put those 2 on the table, follow the cheat sheet, you get the number of 8. So I typed in 8. Now for any single digits, it's 0 first, then 8. So when I typed that in, you got 3,4-dinitroxymethylpropene. Now for the next one, it's going to be 3-methyl-2,4-dinitrobenzene. This is the final one you have to make for the Easter egg. For methylbenzene, we need paint, detergent, and drain opener once again. Paint is the key for this one. When you have all 3 on the table, you need to type in the number 19 for this scenario, according to the cheat sheet. Once you have all 3 on there, you need to get the methylbenzene you just made, grab the baking soda and the detergent, and the vinegar. I call this chemical the double box. Once you have all 4 of those items on the table, type in the number according to the cheat sheet. In my game, it was 23. So after that's done, hit start, and it'll make dinitro. The last part of this big bad chemical, you need the dinitro you made, plus racing fuel. Putting those 2 on the table, following the cheat sheet, you need to type in 13. Once you type in 13, you will have 3-methyl-2,4-dinitrobenzene. Congratulations, you know the first 4 original chemicals you need to make for the Easter egg. If you want to stop the video there, that's perfectly fine. I'm still going to go over the 5th chemical. For the 5th chemical, it is 2,4-propane 3,5-tetranitrate. For the first chemical, you need glycerol. To make glycerol, you need animal fat and vodka. Following the cheat sheet, once you have those 2 items on the table, you need to type in 18. For the next chemical, you're going to need a mixed acid solution. For this, we need detergent and drain opener once again, but instead of paint, we're going to need ice to keep it cool. Ice is the key. Once we have all 3 of those on the table, follow the cheat sheet and type in the number given. Mine was 24. For the third part, we need a nitrated glycerol solution. And it's just mixing the mixed acid solution with the glycerol. That's it. Once we have those two items on the table, follow the cheat sheet, and my table gave me 09. So I typed in 09. And then finally, for 2,4-propane, 3,5-tetranitrate, we just need the nitrated glycerol solution we made, plus baking soda. Once we have those two items on the table, follow the cheat sheet, and you're going to get 17. Type that in, and you'll have the chemical that is just a bonus. Congratulations. Did I make this easier for you? I hope so. Until next time, my fiery amigos. Peace out.